So this guy's 2370. We have to get this win. It's a d4. Let's go knight to f6, and he's playing a London system. Let's play d5 here. And then after e3, I really like to play c5 against the London. It allows my queen to go to b6 in some lines. I'm just going to go knight c6 here. And then from here, queen to b6 is usually a very nice move. It applies pressure to b2. The opponent plays b3, which is okay. It guards the pawn. I'm thinking of taking here. I'm also thinking of just developing my bishop. Let's just develop our bishop here, bishop to g4. And from here, we just need to complete our development. He goes bishop e2. Let's play e6. We're two moves away from being fully developed. He castled the king, and now let's play bishop e7. And from here, I'm just going to castle my king. And we're both going to be fully developed. And because it's a London system, let me castle my king. It's all about outplaying the opponent. Like the better player is just going to win the game. There's no advantage coming out of the opening. But I'm playing with the black pieces, so that's good for me. Now, the opponent decided to play rook to e1, and already I have my first idea. I'm going to take this pawn on d4. It opens the c file, but he took with the e pawn, and already I'm thinking of moves like bishop to a3. I'm trying to play moves like bishop to f5 and trap his rook, but definitely rook to c8, putting the rook on the open file can't be a bad move. It's very important that we're following principles. I don't really want to overcommit to any moves. He plays b4. He is weakening his c3 pawn. That is an indication that he wants to put a knight here. But all I need to do here is to start applying immediate pressure on his c3 pawn. So I'm thinking a5, but then he hits the knight. I'm just going to move my knight here, actually. Let's play knight to b8. Now, this move is on developing the knight, so it's weird, but it is an attacking move. I just need to remember not to keep my knight on the back rank. So he guards the pawn. Again, I'm seeing a knight heading towards the c5 square, and I do not want to allow that. Now, once the knight goes to b3, I should be able to go knight e4. And then if the knight goes here, I want to be able to play b6 as well. So, okay, this is a tricky situation. Let's play a5 here. Let's play a5. I want to open up some lines for my pieces. If he takes with the pawn, my queen is active. He decided to push, which is decent. Now my knight should be able to get the c5 square. So let's develop the knight. Knight b3, I'm no longer afraid of anymore because there's no more knight c5, so we're doing fine. And then he plays queen to b3. Hmm, do I have anything here? Am I able to play a4 and sack the pawn, and if the queen takes, rook here hits the queen? It's just playing actively. And then if the queen here, I go bishop here, hits the rook. But then he goes here. But what if I go rook here, hits the queen though? And then he moves the queen, then I double up on the pawn. Definitely worth the sacrifice. So it's a pawn sacrifice. It doesn't mean that I'm winning. Definitely it doesn't mean that I'm winning. I'm probably even losing. It's probably an inaccurate sack. But once you can have the opponent defending their pieces, then that's all we need. So he didn't even accept the sacrifice. He pulls the queen back. Now I just want to apply as much pressure on him. So queen to a5 is what I'm thinking of. It applies pressure to this pawn. a3 should be a move. And knight to b6 with the idea of knight to b4 is an idea. His pawn on c4 is weak. And basically, I don't want to allow him to be able to push the pawn. Whenever you're attacking weak backward pawns like this, if you could prevent them from moving before you start attacking them, then that would be perfect. I'm also thinking of knight h5 here. Like, why don't I play knight h5? Hits the bishop. Maybe pulls the bishop back to e3. Okay, so c4 was played. c4 was played. And okay, let's say I attack the queen. The queen goes back to b3. If I take on c4, the knight takes on c4. My queen is under attack. I'm thinking of playing a move like bishop to b4, hit the knight. I also like knight to h5, hit the bishop. There's a lot of ideas that I have here. Okay, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take on c4. His pawn's no longer backward, but he has an isolated pawn on d5. So I could attempt to attack that weak pawn. I know I'm going to play the move queen to b4, just using my queen to attack his queen. Like if I pull my queen all the way back to d8, that's just a passive move. If I pull my queen to a8, that's also a passive move. And if he takes my queen, I'm going to be actively attacking his rook. Now, I want to play moves like knight d5, attacking his bishop, fixing the isolated pawn. That's definitely an idea. So he took, let's take, hit the rook. He moves the rook. Now we play, I'm thinking here, there's probably bishop here. Okay, let's go here, hit the bishop. There's also ideas of knight c3, which would be a decent move. So bishop to d3 was played. And if I takes, knight takes, my rook is under attack. I do not have to take though. In fact, let's just move the rook out the way. And if the bishop takes my bishop, then my knight takes, and I'm doing fine. So takes, let's take back here. I'm trying not to think too much because I don't want all my time to run out. This knight needs to move so that way my rooks are active. A3, 6, or knight f6. Those are my next move. Knight to d6. That's a very nice move because then if I takes, the rook gets the file and the knight is also attacking this pawn. But I like the idea of playing rook to c3. It attacks this pawn. If he takes, I takes and attack the rook. If the knight takes this pawn, however, I'll simply attack the knight. And now there's going to be the knight and the pawn under attack. It's a weird position. Like I'm not even sure if I'm winning or losing. So he attacks the rook. Let's hit the knight. Knight has to go somewhere. The downside of everything is this is a pass pawn, so I need to be careful. So let's say the knight goes back. Okay, the knight decided to go here instead, which is an attacking move on my knight. And if I takes, then he gets connected pass pawn. And this is also under attack. I can't afford to allow the opponent to get connected pass pawns here. So I'm going to go with knight to b6. This pawn is still weak. If he has to play a move like rook to a1 to guard the pawn, then that should be a plus for me. But I am down by a pawn in this position. So if I don't get it together, then I may lose this game. But I think all my pieces are active enough. Let's see. So rook a1 was played, a very passive move. Now, I'm thinking rook here, but then my rook is attacked. I'm thinking knight f. Okay, let's go knight f4. Hits the bishop. And I'm also applying pressure to this knight as well. I really like this move because if he pulls the bishop back, he is losing a pawn. So my pieces are very active here. And the bishop is guarding this pawn. So once I move my knight out the way, based on where he puts his bishop, I could also win this pawn. But we just have to play fast. So the king guards the bishop. I takes, the king take, yeah, let's take. And then once the king takes, I plant my knight on the d5 square. Now I'm threatening to take this pawn. I left this pawn unprotected, by the way, so knight takes is definitely a possibility. If knight takes though, okay, he didn't even go into that line. I can't take here. Okay, how do we continue? Give a check. Okay, let's start by giving a check. King has to be careful where it moves to. He could be losing this pawn, but this is a very dangerous pass pawn. So the king went there. I do not want to take that pawn. I don't want to allow him to push his pass pawn either. Knight here looks like a fork. King here takes, take this. Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, let's go with this idea. Knight c3. It's the rook c1 is the strong move here. If rook c1, I'm just going to take and then take here. But then there's knight takes. I think the most I could get out of this game is a draw. But let's see. Let's just see. So rook to b4 was played. Wasn't expecting that move at all. Now I just need to take this pawn. And then after rook takes, I takes, but then he has knight takes. So that's something. I don't want to allow him to push the pass pawn. I'm kind of forced though, so let's take the pawn. And then after the trade, he takes my pawn on a5, and I should be able to win his d4 pawn, but the outside pass pawn is usually very, very strong. So I may not try to take this pawn just to win back my pawn. Okay, so he started off by playing knight takes. Very interesting. If I take his knight, he takes my rook. That's very interesting. If I take his rook, he takes. And then if I takes, he goes rook takes. I'm not afraid of that though. Yeah, let's just take. I'm not afraid of that. No, I takes. Rook takes, I have to be careful though, because he's threatening a mate. I am down by a pawn though. I'm not sure how active this knight is. Like, I could take and just double up his pawn and try to draw, but I'm not really seeing if his knight is helping his position. So let's prevent the mate here. I'm going to get my rook behind this pass pawn and I'm just going to try to draw this game. I do not have enough time on my clock either, so I have to be very fast and very precise here. So he hits the bishop. I could take stakes and then get behind. I could take stakes, get here. Okay, let's just take, go here. And oh, but then he's able to push and protect. This should be a draw. Let's get behind the pawn. Then I go here, and there's no way for him to protect this pawn. So once I win this pawn, he moves the rook. Let's just move, and then we take the pawn. Once I'm able to keep my rook behind this pawn, then the game should simply be a draw. Now I'm going to put my rook here, and the goal from here is to try to keep his king out of the game as best as I can. So let's play h5 here, and then I'm just going to be repeating moves like rook here, trying to keep his king out. This is endgame 101, by the way. Like, I cannot move my rook away because then once he moves his rook, it's over. I'm going to play h4 just to ensure that he's not able to move his king. And now his king is, you could say, trapped, and my king is trapped. So this is just going to be a drawn position. Let's just, yeah, now I just need to repeat moves. Let's play king here. King here is a decent move. Like once I keep my, all I need to do is ensure that he's not allowed to check. Once he doesn't check, then he's in trouble. What is this guy doing? That's a pawn. Okay, looks like he's fumbling the game. Again, I need to ensure that I keep my rook behind this pass pawn. Rooks belong behind the pass pawn. Once I go king here though, and then take this, he's just never gonna have a check. So king here, and the funny thing is, if he puts his rook here, I'm going to take and protect the pawn. This is losing. This is crazy. Take the pawn. If he attacks my rook, I just keep my rook behind the pass pawn. So now he's guarding the pawn. Now he's guarding the pawn. Do I have enough to win? Let's move the king out the way. Let's move the king out the way. Now he has time to move his rook out the way. But the question is, do I have enough to win? Push, push, takes, push, rook back, takes, push, 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 push. Let's push. This should be enough to win. This should be. I just have too many pawns. Okay, that was something. Wasn't expecting that. Okay, let's push. We have to push the pass pawns. Yo, I'm sure this is losing. I can't mess this up. Looks like I'm messing it up, but it's losing. I know it's losing. I just need to ensure that I roll the pass pawns. So rook up. Okay, rook up, let's push. I have to push. Nice. No, I take. No, I can't. Okay, let's push this first. I need my pass pawns to be very far. Rook here. Tricky. Okay, let's take. It's very, very tricky. Then I roll the pass pawn. Roll this pass pawn. Nice. So it's basically these pass pawns versus the rook. Now I just have, oh, all right, that was a very heartbreaking game. I need to be faster on the clock. Let's go knight f6. I need to be faster on the clock. Let's go e6, followed by d5 here. And we're just going to be playing the regular Queen's Gambit decline, bishop e7, castle king. We all know this line. Can't believe I lost that game. But let's play c6 here. And I get this position a lot. The knight usually goes to d7. And my plan from here is to, so the knight goes to d7. And then from here, the plan is to find out how I'm going to get this light squared bishop off the background. Now, my opponent played h4, which I'm sure that's not the move. Maybe he wants me to play h6 and then he leaves the bishop there and then he goes for some Friday for attack. Well, some fishing pool trap. But I'm just going to play b6 here. The plan is to go bishop to b7. I just want to ensure that I get all my minor pieces off the background and then I should be good. So he took, let's just take back here. I can always play c5 in the future. My bishop is still going to b7. Bishop to d3, that does not create a threat because h7 is guarded. So let's develop. Still a bad bishop, but once I play c5, you could say the bishop is supporting the d5 pawn, covering the e4 square. So that's basically my idea. Now, h4 just didn't really do anything. Yeah, once I manage to keep my time high enough, I should be good. Now, g4 is a very interesting move because if I take on g4, I lose my h7 pawn. But I don't necessarily have to react to these attacks too much. I just need to ensure that I counterattack in the center. So let's play c5 here. So usually, if you notice that someone is trying to attack on the king side, you want to ensure that you counterattack in the center of the board. So he's planning on take, g4, knight. So takes, g4. Now I have to play knight to e4 because I'm gonna be losing my h pawn. So, or I could play c4 here as well. c4 because if he takes, I takes, but then I'm gonna lose a piece. So let's go knight e4. And it looks as if I'm going to be down by a pawn again, which is crazy. I have to takes, and then after bishop takes, I have to take, and then after queen takes, I take. So basically, I'm trying to open the center of the board. His king is in the center. I'm trying to open the center. Rook to d1 here. Not sure, because my plan is to play bishop to b4. I think he needs to play queen takes and just get the queens off the board because he's ahead by a pawn. But if he plays queen takes, I am positive that I cannot trade the queens. Positive. Let's see. So he plays queen takes. I cannot trade queens off the board, but his king is in the center of the board. So let's go queen to c7. My plan is to play moves like rook to d8 or bishop to c5. His knight is unprotected, so I'm looking for some tactics on the knight. The good thing is his king will not be safe anywhere on the chessboard. It's not safe on the queen side, it's not safe on the king side, and it's not safe in the center. And I have the bishop, he has the knight. I think this is more than compensation. And most importantly, I have time on the clock. So he moves the king. If I check, he's going to block with something. If I attack the queen goes to c3, which I don't mind. So let's hit the queen, bringing my pieces in the game with tempo. This is the start of my attack. I have to all once I just do not trade queens, don't allow him to force a queen trade, then I should be slightly better. So he counterattacks my queen. He's basically saying if I take his queen, he takes my queen. I do not have any in-between move. I'm going to play the move queen to b7 though. The plan is to go queen a6, checks the king, hit the unprotected pawn, and maybe he could go queen to a4 to prevent this actually. But I'll probably play b4, yeah. So he plays queen a4 to prevent it. Now I'll play b5, hit the queen. I'm just trying to ensure that I don't play too slow to be honest. Like, I think this is a decent position. So there's no overthinking that needs to be done here. Queen a5, I'm predicting. Okay, what is this bishop doing? That's the question. Let's say he plays queen a5. Do I just push it again? So the queen went back to b3. I want to continue my attack with a4. I'm positive he's just trying to put a rook right there though. But that should not affect me too much. There's knight e5 ideas which will attack this, but once I move my bishop, I'll be safe. So let's play a5. I'm just pushing my queenside pawns forward. If the knight goes here, I just pull my bishop back. Or even bishop b6. He's trying to trade as much pieces off the board. I'm sure he's going to probably play rook to d1 in this position. So rook to d1 was played. Obviously, he wants to trade. Let's go a4, hit the queen. He is able to trade before moving his queen, but that would be helping my rook to get an open file. So he pulls the queen back, and now I'm thinking b4, because that way now I'm getting some diagonals pointing towards his king. Now, if he takes, I takes, then if the queen goes here, I have to check. I have to check here. And then if the queen blocks, I'll just swing away my queen. Like, I believe once I don't trade queens, I should not be losing this game. So queen to c6 was played. That's the square for the queen. That's the square for the queen. Because now I can't check anywhere and I can't trade queens. So we're still going to play queen to a7. Not a move that I wanted to play, but we can't trade queens. We're down by a pawn. So rook takes, queen here. I'm still going to check. Now, the thing about this, I'm also setting myself up for an endgame, which is why I'm pushing my pawns down, so that way my bishop will always be supporting my pawn. So if he plays all the perfect move and I'm forced to go into an endgame, then I should not be losing. Now, the good thing is I am playing faster than how I was playing last game. So I have more than double the amount of time that he has on his clock. So I can either win this game or draw this game. I cannot lose. Queen c7 was played. We were expecting that. Let's give the check. He blocks with the queen. And as we said, we cannot trade the queens off the board. So where do we put this queen? Okay, I'm thinking queen a5. Queen a5 prevents knight e5. So that's not too bad. Maybe I need to play rook to e8. I'm not scared here. I'm chill. So the knight went to d4. Very nice square for a knight. The knight is heading towards c6. With that being said, I need to move my queen. If I go queen here, he forks. I check. Blocks with the rook. No, everything is under attack. So that doesn't work. What to play? What to play? Let's try queen b6. Knight c6 is a very strong move. If knight c6, I have to go here. Knight takes, sack the queen, but then I block with the rook. That's the plan. Yeah, that's the plan. We're just gonna keep playing fast here. So knight c6, we have to go here. If knight takes, I takes, and then if he sack the queen, I don't take the queen. I just block with the rook, and then I should be safe. The good thing is, I believe that his knight was actually a bit better than my bishop. So the bad thing is though, my pieces are not coordinated. As you can see, like every single piece that I have is unprotected. So he has a chance now to find something. Now, I'm not seeing what he has, which is good, which is why his time is running out. And the more the time runs out, that it gets closer to some mistakes being made. So I'm also comfortable with an endgame because if we go into an endgame, he's gonna have to promote the pawn, checkmate my king, and he's not gonna be able to do that in 1 minute. So queen c7, he's still trying to trade. I could take, but can I make it even harder on him? Can I go here? He sacked the queen. I block, but then the rook goes here. So with that being said, I need to go here. And if he sacked the queen, I block. Good, let's go here. Quickly, let's do it quickly. Let's do it quickly. His time is still running out. So now he plays rook to c5, hits the queen. Okay, okay, that's a nice move. Queen a7 is the only square for the queen. And if queen a7, he sacked the queen, and I block, and then the rook goes here, but then I take. So that doesn't work. Queen a7, check, block. Okay, let's go queen a7. When you're down in material, do not trade. Like the opponent has to force me to get the queens off the board here. I'm just trying to keep the queens on the board. Yeah, he has a minute on the clock. There's no way I'm losing this game. So rook to d4 was played. He's attacking my weak pawn. He's trying to make some progress now. I'm thinking of just pushing it. Just play fast. Yeah, let's go b3. Just push the pawn forward. And eventually I should be able to play g6 and my back rank will not be as weak. Okay, that's a nice move. He sacked the rook. Okay. Oh God. Yo, why do I keep blundering like this, man? That's crazy, man. Because after takes, I'm gonna get mate on the back rank. Yo, man. Okay, I'm gonna try to flag him. So rook takes. Ah, so it's, you see, I keep on mess up the end game. Like there's always something that I'm missing in the end game. I mean, I should not be able to flag him with 40 seconds on the clock. Okay, I cannot trade, obviously. I'm dead lost. Okay, rook here is just GG's. Good game, bro. All right, let's play some chess. My opponent is 2392. That's a very high rating. It's been a while since I've done one of this. So let's jump back in the 10-minute pool. And our first game is an Italian game. So that's going to be something. Now he's playing the two knights defense. The correct move here is d3, guarding the pawn. It's very important that I do not play too slow. Sometimes I tend to play too slow in these games and then lose on time. Now bishop to c5, good development move. Let me use the time to get my king out the center of the board. And this is going to be one of those slow Italian games. I want you to notice how the opponent is kind of delaying castling their king. I'm going to play pawn to c3 here. My idea is to play pawn to d4 and chase away the bishop. Now, in the Italian game, okay, bishop to g4 is not necessarily good in this position because I am able to play knight to d2 and I mean, my knight is pinned, but I should be able to just move my queen off the way. And especially now that he castle is king, all I need to do from here is to play h3, chase away the bishop, and pulling the bishop back to h5 is actually not the move for black here. Now, black is playing very, very principled, as you can see. Like, black is moving every minor pieces only once. But yeah, the bishop does not really belong on g4. So he decided to pull the bishop back to e6. I do not want to take and give his rook the open file, so let's just go rook e1, supporting my e4 pawn. If he takes, then my knight is just going to take, and then I'm fine. I'm thinking of playing moves like bishop to b5 or even bishop to b3 as well. I like to keep the light squared bishops on the board. So a5 was played to prevent b4. Now I'm going to play bishop to b5 because it's harder to play a6, chasing away my bishop. He could play knight to a7 to attack my bishop, and I will move, but then his knight is going to be on the edge of the board, so I should not have a huge problem with that. So again, the general plan here is to play moves like knight f1, knight g3, and then pawn d4, and it's usually a very maneuvering game. Let's see how black plays here. So knight back to e7 was played, which is also the idea that black should use. So not a bad move. Pawn to d4 will always be an idea here. So let's just hit him with d4. The knight no longer guards the d4 square, so I should be able to play d4 and get good control over the center. The pawn also has to take. Now I take. That's a tempo on the bishop, which has to move. Now pulling the bishop back to a7 here is the idea. He will gain a tempo on my bishop, so I am planning on just pulling the bishop back to f1. The question is though, what would I do with this knight if my bishop goes back to f1? I want to be able to go knight f1, knight g3, then bishop f1, but he's not going to allow that. Now, if I play here, he's just going to move, and if I play here, takes, he's just going to move. So none of these helps my position. If he plays d5, then I will play e5, so I am happy with that. With that being said, my bishop belongs on d3 because I want to be able to play knight f1, and if he plays d5, I do not want his knight on the e4 square. So knight g6 was played. The knight is heading here, so let's go knight f1, preventing his knight from going to f4. Very, very interesting position. It's like black knows what he's doing, and you could say I know some stuff myself. I have very good control over the center of the board, so I'm comfortable with my chances here. Okay, so knight to h5 is a very annoying move. It prevents my knight from going to g3 because then that would just double up my pawn. And he's also trying to put a knight on the f4 square. So that's a very nice move. Now, I may have to play knight to g3 just to ensure that none of his knight is able to go here. Another move I'm thinking of is just knight to e3, which is also not bad. I can also play knight to h2. There's a lot of moves I could play here. Like, if I allow him to get a knight here, I want to be able to play g3. If I'm not able to play g3, then it's gonna be too annoying. Okay, here's the deal. First, I'm gonna develop my bishop to g5. I'm gonna attack the queen, and I'm basically forcing the queen to move unless he wants to play f6. And if he plays f6, his knight will not be able to go back to f6, which is a small perk in the position, especially since his light squared bishop is unprotected. Now, he did play f6. I am forced to move my bishop. Let's put it back to e3. And then I'm assuming he's going to play knight to f4 in this position, and I will not give him that bishop. So if knight to f4 is played, I'll just pull the bishop back to c2, and I would love. Okay, let's pull the bishop back to c2. The plan from here is g3. How can I play g3 without losing my h3 pawn? That's my issue. Now, queen to d2 attacks the knight. Actually, that's not bad. Like queen to d2 is not bad here because then he's gonna be forced to move his knight. So queen to d7 was played. Guy's definitely gonna sacrifice something on h3. I'm guessing he's gonna sacrifice his bishop. So he wants to sack the bishop. I take the bishop. The queen comes in, and then queen to g2 is going to be a mate. With that being said, how do I react to this? Knight h2, takes, queen f3. This is usually how you meet these types of sacrifice, by the way. You always want to go knight to h2 because once you go knight to h2, the queen is able to come to f3. So for example, if takes, queen f3, and then I'm not losing. And my next move is to play queen to f3, and it will be attacking the knight on f4. In fact, if he's not careful, then queen to f3 will trap his knight. I think f5 in this position is a very interesting move. I takes, the bishop takes, that's something. f5 is actually a mistake though, because if f5, I'll play d5, removing the bishop from guarding f5, then I'll take on f5. So that's not working either. So what is he going to play? His time is also running, so that's a good sign. That's a good sign. Ooh, he sacrificed his knight. I was not expecting that move, but I have to accept that sacrifice. What is happening? If knight h4, king here, bishop takes. Okay, so he plays bishop takes first. If I go king here, knight h4, there's nothing here that does not work. I'm also thinking of just king g3 to prevent knight here, but that's pushing it, to be honest. I think that's pushing it. Let's just go king h1. There's no queen coming in. After king h1, if knight h4, I could still hit him with queen h5. That does not work. Let's just go king h1. What did he see here? So knight h4. Oh, bishop g3 is a threat. Bishop check, king over, and then if knight, okay, there's no knight check. Like I'm just defending though. Like what did he see? Okay, let's just go queen h5, right? Because it hits the bishop. If check I go here, there's no knight check. Maybe he has g5. Maybe he's able to play g5. Yeah, let's go. Let's go queen h5. He just does not have enough pieces in the attack. Like the knight and the bishop by itself is not going to checkmate me. Okay, saw that move. Let's go here. Oh, queen h3. Queen h3. That's a nice move. Okay, I have queen to g4, right? No, I do not have queen to g4 because there's knight f3 check. How did this happen, man? And my queen is unprotected, so knight check just wins the queen. Okay, do I go bishop d1? No, I can't play bishop d because he takes. If I go here, knight check, knight check. Okay, what's the threat? What's the threat? The threat is this. He's gonna take my knight and then checkmate me on the next move. Another threat is this. He's gonna check, and then if I take, that's mate. Okay, this is GG's.